Hey, Carl, it's DJ. You got a copy?
I got you, man.
Hey, buddy, first things first. Any concerns? This racetrack's had a lot of rain on it yesterday. We're washing the rubber off of it. Jet dryers on there putting out residue. Any concerns about the surface at the start of this race?
Now that you brought it up, maybe just a little bit. But you know, the track does a real good job here, and I think the surface should be pretty good for racing. You know, I think I haven't heard yet today for sure, but I think we have a competition caution at 20 laps in, so we'll get a chance to look at the Goodyear tires. But I think this App-like Fusion will be better in the sun here like this than we were going to be yesterday in the overcast. So I'm looking forward to it.
Carl, our next question comes from our ESPN mailbag, and Jeff from Minneapolis, Minnesota would like to know, in the June Pocono race, we saw Tony Stewart constantly working to save fuel. How early in the race will you start thinking about that?
That's a real good question. We'll be working all day, you know, on calculating fuel mileage, and then, you know, since we don't have a fuel gauge, every time I come in, they'll just weigh the fuel. And then if it comes down to fuel mileage like it did last time, Bob will just have to tell me, hey, you know, if you run it like this, the second run of the day or the third run of the day, this is the best fuel mileage you can get. So we'll be paying close attention to that.
Hey, Carl, one other thing about the racetrack here, aside from the conditions right now where you don't have any rubber on, when you got here Friday and Saturday in practice, this track changes from the 6 weeks ago that you were just here, doesn't it? And did you have to make adjustments to your setup?
You know, if you come with what you ran 6 weeks ago, it seems like you can't keep up, you know, and we found that a little bit in practice. So, you know, these things evolve and the setups evolve, and right now, you know, I'm looking at a pretty green, bright, sunny racetrack, and since we're starting earlier in the day, I believe the track's going to be quite a bit slicker than it was in the previous race, so it'll be a different setup that wins this thing.
All right, sounds like that's playing into your hands. Thanks for talking with us, Carl. Now Andy's going to talk to Bob.
Well, thanks, Dave.
Hey, Bob Osborne, Andy Petrie up here. You got us?
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Pretty good, Bob. You guys, a couple days ago, Saturday practice, you had a third-place car in the first practice and 23rd place in the second. Which one of those cars you got today?
Well, actually, I hope I have a better car than both of those. I hope we have a first-place car here, which is what we're really working on. But, you know, the track conditions from that happy hour practice or in that first practice on Saturday are pretty darn close to what we got right now. So, you know, we made adjustments after that practice for those types of conditions, so I'm looking pretty good at it.
Well, we were set up yesterday. Looked like we were going to run in some cloudy conditions, and now we've got a hot, sunny day. Do you make any plans for that, or do you just react to it?
Well, I generally just react to it. You know, I don't like guessing, and I like to use the data to make my decisions, and that's really hard to do for cloud cover versus a nice sunny day like we had today. So I just went off of the practice sessions from Saturday, and it should work into our favor here today.
Okay, Bob, I hope it all works out for you, and thanks for talking to us today. Good luck.
Appreciate it, Andy. Enjoy the show here.
We have confirmed there will be a competition caution at lap 20. We're just moments away from the start. The green flag when we come back in just a moment. Back at Pocono Raceway, getting set for the green flag. We will have cameras inside 9 different cars today, including 6-time Pocono runner-up Mark Martin, the winner here in June, Tony Stewart, last week's winner at Indianapolis, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who starts back in 22nd position today. Now, our over-the-wall camera and microphone today are attached to the rear tire carrier for Paul Menard's Ford, Ryan McRae. His nickname is West Coast. There's Ryan. He's from California. He'll take us inside the organized chaos of a pit stop. Today's race is 500 miles. That's 200 laps on a 2.5-mile racetrack. The pit road speed is 55 miles per hour. The pace car will run 70. The pit window 30 to 35, and they may fudge a little bit on that pit window here in terms of fuel.
Well, they're going to try to stretch it if they have to try to make some extra laps. We've seen that many, many times here.
And Andy Petrie, some differing philosophies on pit selection here.
Well, we pick by points, and you see here you've got Tony Stewart on the front, the very first pit, and Montoya's on the other end. That's the bookends. Montoya's got the first pit coming on the pit road, so he doesn't have to worry about speeding when he gets down to his pit stall. The first opening as they come in is Carl Edwards and Kurt Busch. You can see right here at this big wide opening, they got plenty of room to get in and out. If you move down to the next opening, you see teammates Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson have chosen this opening, and with that opening and the teammates, they ought to be able to work well together here.
So a wide variety of pit selections. We saw back in June that Jimmy Johnson pitted way up out of turn 4, just coming on the pit road. Let's take a look at our Old Spice keys to the race.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is what we've talked about here at Pocono is fuel mileage and making that range, trying to extend that range when you have to. Bumpy turn 1. This track has got a lot of bumps down there, and that is the key to the setup here, is to get over those bumps. The bump stop package and shock package are very important. And restart lane choice. We've seen that be so critical to these wins with this new restart rule. Who picks the right lane, the leader, whether he picks the outside or the inside, can make the difference in winning or losing.
Second time this year they have come to Pocono Raceway back in June. Tony Stewart very aggressive back in June. He passed 30 cars in 30 laps. He just took off like a rocket. And folks, he leads all drivers with 6 victories when time trials are rained out, including both of his wins in 2009. Let's listen in to the 16 car there of Greg Biffle.
How you making out, Spotter? How's your hat?
Got a good hat on today, top 5 hat.
Same one as last week?
Same everything as last week. You know me.
Voice of Joel Edmonds, the spotter, who is extremely superstitious down to what he wears on his body and on his head. And last week they had a top 5 run, 4th at Indy, the kind of run they need to get into the chase. Doc?
Lined up by points, and folks, remember it was here 8 weeks ago that NASCAR invoked the double file restarts for the first time in the sport's history, and it worked out very, very well. As they come out of turn 3, it'll be Jeff Gordon, who is the control car. No one can pass him or until they get past the start-finish line. Green flag at Pocono.
Right there may give us some indication for later on as we get some cautions and restarts as to which line the leader may take, Andy.
Yeah, you see Jeff Gordon right there taking notes for sure, because he could tell right there making him, Jimmy Johnson forced him to run through those bumps, and you can see he got the advantage. And now it looks like Jeff's going to lose maybe another spot here to Kurt Busch.
Off the tunnel turn, which many say is the toughest turn in all of NASCAR. Just 8 degrees of banking, headed for the short 6-degree bank turn 3.
Yeah, Kurt Busch had a lot of faith in his race car and that track surface going on the outside there. You can see a little bit too high right there, though. He got that right rear outside of that patch.
Yeah, we saw Tony Stewart lose his race car in practice when he missed that corner just a little bit.
Challenge for 3rd position. Denny Hamlin down on the inside of Kurt Busch, but Kurt will have the preferred line entering turn 1. Can Hamlin get there?
Yeah, you can see further back, they were 2 and 3 wide all the way back to the end of the pack.
Same thing right there. Denny Hamlin trying to run the bottom of the racetrack and really struggling with those bumps.
See Carl Edwards in 5th position. Behind them, Juan Pablo Montoya right in front of Mark Martin.
Yeah, getting a nice push. Now you can really use the draft there and get a push and get yourself. You see Casey Kane coming back on the outside, though. These guys are really trusting that outside in turn 2 right now.
You saw Montoya move up, and they're talking about how sensitive that line is entering turn 2. Here's Carl Edwards now making a move inside of the 2 car.
Well, we heard these guys talk about that that top patch up there that they've been running on the outside is losing some grip. This is how they're going to try to make some passes, see if Carl can make that work. You can see it's just not quite as much grip right now.
What about Tony Stewart, who started back at the back of the field? He picked them off 1 car a lap here back in June. And the top of your screen, there comes smoke. And he's moving up a handful of positions. Tony Stewart right now in the 14 car being shown in 34th place.
That pace, it won't take him long to get to the front, although it gets more difficult as he starts to find some of these cars that are a little more competitive.